What if exhaustion isn't just about doing too much? What if it's actually the result of living outside of a healthy rhythm?
Jesus said, "Come to me."
Thank you for joining me today on my channel. And today is going to be something special because we are in the month or season of spring, and it's time for me to do our 4 seasons of alignment. I had to reevaluate some things because my goal is to get us to stop carrying weight we do not need. But what I forgot was I started in the soil, and that's where the soil taught me about exhaustion, what compaction looks like, and what it looks like in our own lives. So this 4-part, 4-season in alignment series is going to teach each and every one of us not only what does compaction looks like, how to get back into God's natural flow so that we can leave exhaustion behind and go with the flow of the natural rhythm God and creation has been doing every day. So by us utilizing each season in real time, we'll be able to observe what is actually going on with creation in these seasons, because that's where we need to be, and we need to not work against that natural flow. So let's unpack this and get right to it. Creation may actually be teaching us how to live our lives healthier and more aligned lives. A lot of people ask me, how did you begin seeing these connections between soil, humanity, and nature? And honestly, it started in my own backyard in 2012 when I purchased my first home. I began restoring my backyard because it was neglected and barren. And at the time, I thought I was simply cultivating a garden. But now looking back, I realized God was cultivating me while I was cultivating the garden. And as I worked with soil, seasons, planting, restoration, pruning, and healthy growth, I slowly began noticing how similar exhausted soil is to exhausted people. Healthy gardens require rhythm and preparation. It requires nutrition and release and water and rest and timing. And honestly, so do we. And that personal cultivation journey eventually grew into over 14 years in the horticulture industry and starting a garden design company. But before transferring into the parks department, I spent 22 years working in the municipality in the communications and public relations department. And eventually I chose to transition to the parks department, where I currently serve as a supervisor of a park. And that role has also enlightened me in creation. So my life has literally been spent observing systems, restoration, landscaping, cultivations, and how healthy environments function. This transformation took years. There were seasons of planning, seasons of planting, seasons of maintenance, and seasons of release, seasons of harvest, and seasons of rest. And what I realized later was that the same rhythms existed in my own life. There were things I planted in one season that I couldn't wait to see into another season. There were times I needed to release things in one season for the prepare for a next. And times I needed restoration, and times I needed preparation. And creation was quietly teaching me this the entire time. And one thing that changed my perspective completely was when I realized how often scripture uses creation language when speaking to humanity. God constantly uses seeds, trees, rivers, pruning, soil, harvest, rain, and seasons. Not because creation needs any correction, but because creation already understands the rhythm. And scripture says, faith as a mustard seed, known by its fruit, planted by the rivers, a time and a season for everything, sowing and reaping, fertile ground, living water. God has continuously pointed humanity back to creation. And I think many of us are trying to live opposite of the way healthy systems naturally function. Creation rests, humanity resists rest. Creation follows seasons. Humanity often tries to live a non-stop harvest mode. Creation releases naturally. Humanity carries everything constantly. And eventually, that is what creates exhaustion. So in horticulture, a compacted soil, it struggles to breathe. The water cannot flow properly. The roots struggle to spread out, and growth, that becomes restricted. And honestly, exhausted people do too. When life keep applying pressure without healthy release, we mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, eventually, people begin functioning in survival mode. So maybe exhaustion isn't a sign of overload. Maybe it's a signal we need to get back into the natural flow of creation. So with this 4-part season series that I am starting with a weekly live session, we're going to review what spring does, summer, autumn, and winter. Every season, we will monitor in real time what we should be doing. What should we plan? What should we sow? What should we release? And when we should be resting. Because that's how God created creation to be. And so when Jesus come in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, this one scripture connects deeply to our journey of getting to that rest. Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is what happens when we get back to the natural flow. And this is why a lot of people are exhausted, because we are carrying too much. And when soil carry too much, it compacts. You can't get water into it. Nothing grows out of it. And majority of the time, the first signal is weeds emerging, because that means something below is not right. So this series will start with a live session this coming Sunday. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can be notified when I go live. And if this resonated with you, I invite you to begin this journey. If you go onto my description, I have a link. I do have a free starter guide of the 4-season alignment. And we also have a reset, renew blog. Please join that as well. And I'll give weekly encouragement and reflection on that, so you can stay connected. You were never meant to carry everything alone, and you were created to flourish as creation does. So stay aligned and stop carrying what don't belong to you. Until I see you next time, you get ready, because this 4 seasons of alignment is going to reset all of us back into the rest we deserve.
Jesus said, "Come to me, now work harder, not prove your worth."